This right here is why people don't want to be in public life, because someone will dredge up something you said in a moment 15 years ago and act like it somehow encapsulates your life.
Look, hey, look,
No,
I don't...
I'm going to answer one more of these. I'm not going to sit here anymore. We've covered all the stuff that matters. Did you ask Reagan about his marriage?
Right, let's wrap this up.
No, listen. Did you ask Carter these questions?
There have been rumors, particularly about...
For God's sake, AJ, just ask whatever it is you came here to ask, or whatever your editor told you to ask me. This is beneath you.
Okay. Do you feel like you have a traditional marriage?
Yeah, nope, that's it.
You know,
We're done here.
you want to know what I'm doing in my spare time, AJ? Is that it? Follow me around. Put a tail on me. You'd be very bored.
Hugh, that really a terrific performance in this, and I remember Gary Hart very well. I remember that campaign very well, and he was a great senator. For you, in preparing for this, did you meet with Gary Hart? Was he in on this from the beginning, and what was that like?
Yes, I met with Gary, his family. Before I met him, I met with a lot of the campaign team, who are still very close to him. They all flew in when Jason took the film to show Gary and his family. A lot of the campaign team were there. Spoke with them, and I did a lot of research. It was something I was nervous about. I've never played someone who was alive before, but it's a big responsibility for both Jason and I. Our stories, who we are, and how we present ourselves to the world, or our legacy, is arguably the most precious thing we all have. So, I certainly and this is probably the worst week or 3 weeks of this man's life, and I've become friends with him, and he was very, very generous to me, and answered any questions I had, and yeah, it was something I was very nervous about, though.
Interesting, too, as the movie points out, Gary Hart was really resistant to the whole idea that his private life had anything to do with what he was trying to do here, and it started overcoming his message, and that was the first time I can remember.
I'm no different from any person in this room. We all have the same morning routine, right? We wake up, we pull out our phone, we open up the news app and go, fuck, you know, and look, usually there's a piece from the Times or the Post, and it's about the midterms, or it's about the Kavanaugh hearings, and then right next to it is a piece also from the Times and the Post, except it's about Ariana Grande and Pete Davidson breaking up, and they're given equal weight. You know, they're treated as though they are the same story. And if we kind of look for this kind of initial moment, again, I think I'm like everyone here, we're all looking to figure out, wait, how the hell did we get here? And in this story, this moment in which tabloid journalism and political journalism started to drive into the same lane, you know, for a variety of reasons. And it happened to this candidate who was a great litmus test because he was smart, charismatic, Kennedy-esque, had big ideas, was prescient about everything, but at the same time, he was a human being who made real mistakes, and he had flaws, and got us onto this conversation of what kind of flaws are we willing to put up with in our leaders.
And Hugh, in terms of making this movie, in case you haven't heard, you're a big celebrity. And you have to deal with...
I keep trying to tell my kids, but they're not hearing.
You have to deal with cameras, you have to deal with everything, you have to be out there, and there is that line. So can you relate to it from that point of view, that, you know, politicians are now going through the same thing?
You know, I was joking with Jason. I said, you know, like, imagine we have a movie coming out next Tuesday. Have Matt Damon put out a 30-second ad the morning of, this movie is crap, don't listen, I hate this guy, you're going to hate him, he's the worst thing. Like, it's a different lens that politicians are under, for sure. There is a path for an actor to be quite private and still have a very meaningful, successful life. So I understand it a little bit. Gary's personality is different from mine. I'm, you know, if you ask me a question, Pete, I'll probably answer you. It doesn't really, but he's an intimate, private person by nature, which makes him all the more fascinating that he ran for the most public job in the world. And that's what I love about this script, this story, the way Jason directed it. There are no heroes, there are no villains. It is a whole bunch of human beings in this cauldron of a 3-week political campaign. And for me personally, as I get older, I'm more interested in the grey areas of life. I'm more interested in the vulnerable side of superheroes. I'm more interested in, the flaws. And I think that's what's interesting about life and about people, and that's why I'm so proud to be part of the film.